Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I'm back with yet another band you need to hear. Another recommendation of a band that if you're not familiar with them, then you really need to check it out. So, today's band in question, another band you need to hear, hailing from Denmark. Originated in around 2015 and without a doubt comfortably sitting within the subgenre of old school death metal. I am talking about a band that's name I am not entirely sure on the correct pronunciation of, but I'm going to say Baest. I'm not quite sure. The title is effectively, well, the name is effectively Beast with the A and the E swapped round, but it is I think it's a Danish word, makes sense. Danish word for beast or brute, I believe. Regardless, Baest, Beast, whatever, frickin' solid, new, old school death metal. Absolutely fantastic stuff. All I can really say about Baest is that if you dig the good old stuff in the vein of Dismember, in the vein of Morbid Angel, certainly Bloodbath as well, Cannibal Corpse, so on and so forth, you kind of get the idea, then you're going to absolutely dig this band. Since 2015, they have given us a pretty steady rate of releases. We've got 3 full-length studio albums. There's also a multitude of singles, and there's a couple of EPs in there as well. I only have the 3 studio albums actually on CD. I have heard the most recent EP, which was from 2022, I believe. I think it's just this year. A great EP. I've checked it out on Spotify, and it's a particularly weighty EP, I must say. A wonderful guest appearance from the late great Trevor of the Black Dahlia Murder, another solid death metal band, but haven't quite got round to picking up a physical of that yet because it's the same old struggle. Time and money and too many other great things that I'm also trying to pick up. But these 3 full-length studio albums, if that's all I've got, then that is more than enough because it is brilliant stuff. Absolutely fantastic. So this was the debut album. Get this right. This is Dance Macabre, a Masse Macabre decomposed by Baest. Very interesting. A pretty intricate, hellish looking bit of artwork there, but a cracking album. So this was released in 2018, out on Century Media. A fantastic album. I remember hearing this. It probably would have been not that long after release. I remember being totally blown away by this album. Absolutely loving it. At the time, I was really big into old school death and more modern death metal bands, and this just hit the spot. I've always been, ever since discovering them, always been a massive Bloodbath fan. That is one of the essential death metal bands of more modern times. Absolutely love Bloodbath, and Baest really do have that kind of sound, you know, the big fuzzy ripping HM2 riffs, absolutely delightful stuff, just bludgeoning. But the songs are really well structured, you know, the whole composition is brilliant. Dance Macabre is actually not a particularly long album. I think it's about 40 minutes, less than 40 minutes maybe, but it's just reliable, top-notch old school death metal. Very talented assembly here as well. In particular, I want to just highlight Simon Olsen vocals there. That guy has a very, very good vocal delivery. Absolutely straight up there with the Michael Ackerfeld kind of or even Nick Holmes, you know, if we're going to go with the Bloodbath kind of resonance there, that kind of really guttural, nasty, Johan Hegg clarity there as well. Guttural, death growl, absolutely fantastic. Some really talented musicians in this band. Solid lineup as well. But it kicks off with an absolute bruiser in the form of Crosshaw, which is a fantastic, grooving, doomy stomper of a track. Hecatomb rips off with a bit more of a kind of nasty, visceral death metal edge. The title track is a bit of a grander track. Epic though, freaking great. Some real Death Doom vibes there. Atra Moors, ripping. Absolutely ripping. A little bit faster paced there again. Trying to think of some of the other real highlights. Ritual is a good one, as is Vortex and Ego Te Absolvo. Solid. Solid as a freaking rock. If you like your more modern take on old school death, then this is essential listening. Even with the debut though, sounds strong. Already, yeah, there's a resonance to your Bloodbaths and your Dismember, but they've already got their own kind of thing going on there as well. Fast forward a few years, and then we get the sophomore album, Venenum. In fact, year-wise, this was 2021, I believe. Or maybe it would have been... No, earlier than that. I think this is 2019. So quite rapid succession there, to be honest. That's a good rate of work. Venenum, so this was a reissue, I think, from a couple of years later. And for whatever reason, I really dig that debut album at the time. I remember Venenum coming out, and I don't know why, but I didn't get it at the time. Again, classic case of there's so much quality death metal out there, or just metal in general out there, that I didn't pick it up. Criminal, absolutely criminal, because I picked this up, I don't know, 6 to 8 months ago, something like that, and I've listened to it a lot since then. This is a Baest of an album. Absolute beastie death metal savagery right here. Some really top-notch weighty tracks. There's clearly a progression here. You know, they've learned a bit, they've evolved a bit. It's still distinctly the same band. You know, the lineup's pretty much the same here, I believe. Still got Simon on vocals. There's Simon. Then we've got our guitars. We've got Sven on guitars there. We've got Lasse guitars. And we've got... Oh, that's a nice shot of the guys. Very homely. Bit of death metal love. Then we've got Muddy on bass. Apologies if I'm totally mispronouncing. And then we've got Sebastian drums there. Solid as a frickin' rock, this album. Kicks off with a track called Vitriol Lament. That is a monster of a track. Frickin' heavy stuff. You know, there's loads of different bands that I could kind of draw that comparison to. But to be honest, I really do think that Baest are a little bit of a cut above a lot of what else is going on in modern death metal. And there is so many fantastic bands out there. Everything from Ripped to Shreds, which I've talked about recently. We've got Skeletal Remains, and so on and so forth. The list goes on. I can't always remember all the cream of the crop off the top of my head, but Baest, they are freaking up there. The second track, Gula, is a death doom monstrosity. I cannot put into words just how much of a sledgehammer crush fest that is. Freaking love it. Then we've got Nile, brilliant stuff. The title track is beastly. Styx and Heresy, interesting progressive stuff there, but it's just solid old school death. You know, this isn't reinventing the wheel by any means, but they really do have their own sound, identifiable. As Above, So Below is a particularly great one. The disgusting Sodomize is a brilliant track there, really good. That's got a proper sort of bloodbath, sludgy stomp to it. Wonderful stuff. Then the album closes with Empty Throne there as well. Absolutely fantastic. Really cannot fault any of these albums. They really do deliver the absolute goods here. Love it. Venenum, the sophomore, and then we get the most recent full-length album, which was released in 2021 or 2022. Can't quite recall. I thought that it was 2021, but hey, I've got both years on the back here, so either one doesn't make too much odds. This is Necrosapiens. Now this, you can tell the band has come along a lot. You know, that there's a massive progression between this album and the debut. No discredit whatsoever to either Dance Macabre or Venenum, but this is kind of next level. I think that this does draw a little bit of an influence. Maybe it's just to my ears, but I do pick up a little bit of a Revocation kind of vibe and a little bit more of the technical flair there. I also do get a little bit of kind of Black Dahlia Murder pace changing and intensity, but still firmly rooted in the old school. Still firmly rooted in your Bloodbath, your Hypocrisy, the Morbid Angel, that kind of solid, reliable old school death metal. So Necrosapiens is, I think this is the longest of these three albums, and it is a fantastic album. Kicks off with The Forge, which is a kind of intro piece, straight into Genesis, which is a weighty track, full throttle, bulldozing, absolutely fantastic stuff. There's our lineup again. And in fact, is it exactly the same lineup? Let's find out. I'm interested to know. So we've got Sven, Sebastian, Lasse, we've got Matthias, and Simon. So maybe a slight difference there, but awesome. Very talented, very adept bunch there, delivering a solid performance there. Necrosapiens, great title track, more than lives up to the name. Bulldozing, merciless old school death. Tsar, brilliant. Abattoir is, it almost does have a little bit more of that kind of aborted vibe going on there. With a track title like that, you kind of expect that kind of homage there, but brilliant, fantastic. Gorgasm, ripping stuff. One of my highlights from this album is Towers of Suffocation, which has a monstrously groovy breakdown, which is very reminiscent and resonant of, you know, I'm sure some people will totally disagree, but that's fine. It's kind of got a bit of a Slipknot vibe in the massive grooves and just ripping, fuzzing riff there. Absolutely love it. Purification Through Mutilation, solid death stuff there. Meat Hook Massacre is just oozing, dripping, drenched in pure carcass worship. Certainly the kind of Symphonies of Sickness and Necroticism kind of era, massive amount of carcass worship there. And then we close out with Sea of Vomit. Beautifully disgusting stuff, absolute masterpiece. Start to finish, Necrosapiens, a beast, a Baest of an album. Absolutely love it. 3 solid death metal albums, fantastic. Some of the best modern old school death metal around. So the last album is getting on 3 years ago, 2-3 years ago now. It's been a little while. I know that there's been a pretty solid succession of singles ever since the Just This Year EP. We've got, I think, the Imp of Perversion, which came out in 2024, leading the way, you know, setting the trend, giving us a little taster of what maybe the next full-length album holds, and it sounds good. Sounds a little bit more stripped back. Sounds solid, though. Baest are clearly carrying on, delivering the absolute goods in fine form. I am going to pick up a copy of that newest EP, but as I say, these 3 albums, I don't think I could pick a favourite. I think the one that I'm most familiar with is the debut, Dance Macabre, and I think this is a great album. I think it's got a certain charm to it. Certainly with that album, the Bloodbath resonance is very high. things do get a little bit more original, shall we say, with Venenum. And I'm actually going to say that Venenum is probably my album of choice out of these three. I just think it's so crunchy. It's so full of hooks, and the tracks are so memorable. It is absolutely crushing, next level stuff. Fantastic. So that's probably my go-to. In particular, Vitriol Lament, Gula, the title track Venenum, and As Above, So Below. Fantastic. But Necrosapiens, wow. The bar has been set very high for Baest. They've set the bar very high for themselves and for other death metal bands out there. Be interested to see what the next album sounds like. So, my friends, if you're looking for some top-notch, high-quality, crushing old-school death metal, check out Baest. Check out all three of these albums and the singles. Worth putting in the time doing your research into this band. It's freaking good stuff. What are your thoughts and opinions on Baest, up-and-coming kings of modern old-school death? Absolute top-notch stuff, as I say. What are your thoughts and opinions? If you've never heard it, check out any of these albums, put in some time. You will be richly rewarded, my friends. And then do let me know what you think of this band. Very interested to hear thoughts and opinions of others as always. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Please do feel free to like, subscribe, share. The support is very much appreciated. Thank you as always. Check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good, heavy things. Until next time, remember, Baest are a band you need to hear. Take care of yourselves and stay heavy.